but I felt that he was insecure what he's going to do. Is he going to play his football, or he's going to let us playing the football we played before? Because it was difficult coming to Man United, having a team which won Premier League, having players that they won so many trophies for the club, and saying now I'm going to play this kind of football. We thought that he's going to be more precise in the ideas he want to have on a pitch. I think he was more like, do whatever you think is right, you know, do what you did before. So that's something I think that maybe we could do better, or maybe I think David could maybe be more, I would say, character at that time and saying, guys, this is the way I'm playing, and I think it will be easier for everyone.
We'll get back to Vidic in just a quick second, but remember, if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. Don't forget to click the notification button so that you know when the next Big D video hits. And as ever, if something is on your mind, if something is bubbling up inside of you that you need to express, please express it in the comments. The Big D reads all of the comments, and he's always interested in what is on your mind. Anyway, this is the first little commentary video that the Big D's made in a little while. And yeah, it's a fun little one. And I've kind of missed doing this because I like to hear some opinions of some of the old Man United legends about certain things that were controversial and whatnot. And what better way to do my first commentary video in a while than to listen to our former illustrious captain, Nemanja Vidić, talk about David Moyes and the disastrous post-Fergie era and what his opinions are on that. Now stick around for after the clip because the Big D is going to be giving his thoughts on what Nemanja had to say and on those things he's talking about. Anyway, here he is.
What was it like when the boss left? What was that meeting like when he walked in to tell you all that he was leaving?
Shock. To be fair, we know that obviously his age and obviously that issues he has and that he want to spend more time with the family, but it was shock. And to be fair, we didn't think at that time that much what's going to be after when he leave, because he told us, I think, the few weeks before end of the season, in our mind was just to finish on a good note and to win the trophy, because we wanted as well, you know, Sir Alex Ferguson to leave, you know, as a winner.
What was it like for you when David Moyes came in? What was that season like? Obviously, it was a really difficult season where he obviously lost his job in the end.
To be fair, David came to Belgrade to meet me, and obviously we had a conversation, and he told me that I would be his captain, and you know, he asked me what I think about certain things. I told him, you know, we can have a quite open conversation, but I felt that he was insecure what he's going to do. Is he going to play his football, or he's going to let us playing the football we played before? Because it was difficult coming to Man United, having a team which won Premier League, having players that they won so many trophies for the club, and saying now I'm going to play this kind of football. We thought that he's going to be more precise in the ideas he want to have on a pitch. I think he was more like, do whatever you think is right, you know, do what you did before. So that's something I think that maybe we could do better, or maybe I think David could maybe be more, I would say, character at that time and saying, guys, this is the way I'm playing, and I think it will be easier for everyone.
When were you speaking to him when it started to go wrong, when the sort of results started to go difficult?
To be fair, yeah, actually I said, and I was open about it, and probably because I was open about it, he thought that I have something against him, which was not. If I have something against him, I would not tell him anything. No. To be fair, I was open. I want to share what I think, and I wanted to help.
Did he take it that way though?
I'm not sure. You know, it's difficult. You know, I'm trying to put myself in his shoes. You know, someone telling you in front of the players, you know, boss, we can do this and that. Maybe he think I'm challenging his authority. You know, it could be like that. But looking at Sir Alex Ferguson, I think he likes characters. He didn't mind, you know, expressing yourself. You know, I think David, I think we didn't saw that as genius. He saw that like maybe I'm challenging his knowledge, but it was not about that. He was like, you know, I'm trying to take of him what he wants. So when I know what he wants, I can deliver.
What was the moment where you realised you were going to leave?
Then, when I was start talking about it.
You thought that the club were going to let you go?
Yeah, because I think David, understand that we didn't do well in that season, and probably he understands that he has to change certain things. And obviously, he want to have his captain. He want to have his players. If he want to play his way, he has to bring his players, isn't it? He bring Mata, he bring Ferini, and that's normal. To be fair, if I'm the coach, I would do the same.
Yeah.
You have to, if you want to play your way, you have to have your players. And I felt like definitely they would not sign a new contract with me because I had 6 months left to my contract.
Yeah.
And I remember that Wayne Rooney was the same, and they signed with the Wayne first contract. They didn't sign with me, so I understand that he wanted Wayne for the long term.
Yeah.
If I'm captain, probably he will talk to me first, but he didn't. So I realized that that's it, and I accept that. To be fair, I think that David Moyes is a good coach. I think he's a good man as well. I think he tried his best. Maybe he made a few bad decisions, but we all made some bad decisions, and probably now, if he's the manager of Man United, he will do differently, definitely.
The last time Manchester United won the Premier League, you were obviously lifting the trophy. If you just said that they won't win the Premier League for the next 12 years, would you ever have believed that at that time?
Not a chance.
What do you make of what's happened in the last 12 years?
I think my feeling is that Sir Alex Ferguson left, but as well David Gill left. And I think that's two big personalities, the two persons that they've been with the club for 25 years. Difficult to replace. Ed Woodward taking that position, I think, was above his, I would say, knowledge and what he's capable to do. That's my personal opinion, and obviously he did fantastic for the club in terms of the marketing, bringing money to the club. But dealing with agents, dealing with the players, I think that role has to take someone who has experience with that. Even to have some ex-football players around to understand how the players think, how the agent thinks. I think at the time club didn't help themselves in terms of bringing knowledge of maybe ex-football players, yourself, or Paul Scholes, or Ryan Giggs, or whoever, someone who has experience, talking with this agent. Because I think that sometimes, even with the salaries, with the money we pay for the certain players, we've been cheated. That's my.
Yeah, been played.
Played, maybe cheated.
Yeah,
it's
that's true.
Difficult word.
That's true.
Yeah. And that's I think that's the problem. And I think the recruitment is the biggest thing, whatever you do in your life. Even bringing the good football player, coaching, staff, medical, and I think they should be careful, what kind of people they're bringing in certain places. And to be in United, you have to be one of the best in the market, and you have to invest in that. Maybe even more than in the players, because those players who are going to do the strategic work, who are going to recruit the people, you have to invest in them. And I think we didn't do that well. That's my opinion. It's difficult to be, I think, in United now, and even to be the football player, to be the owner, or whatever you do is difficult. So if you want to change the club, I think the club has to bring the characters. If you don't have a characters in the club, it's difficult. You will go through this situation. If you bring in the people that they're going to be just nice, smiling, and saying things that you want to hear, I don't think that's the way forward. I think you need people that they're going to take responsibility and be strong enough to say the things they see, and even with the consequences. Because, that's what I think.
Vida, do you think that anything else, Ben?
Why guys didn't ask me that I was 2 times Premier League Player of the Year?
Come on. Why? How did you become 2 times Premier League Player of the Year, Nemanja?
Why that? What is the question? How I become?
Were you 2 times Premier League Player of the Year? You weren't Premier League Player of the Year. You didn't win the Player of the Year for the Premier League.
2 times Premier League Player of the Year.
You were in the team.
Premier League Player of the Year.
Do you mean PFA or Premier League?
Do you have the Wikipedia?
Yes.
Yeah. Go to Wikipedia, please.
Oh, this is good.
I thought you're doing your research, man. I thought you were a serious pundit.
But what is the Premier League Player of the Year? Don't you even know what that is?
Do you know how many players that won that? Just 5 players 2 times. Thierry Henry, Cristiano Ronaldo, De Bruyne, and Mo Salah. And myself.
The research team is terrible here.
Guys,
You
you see he's blaming. This is not leadership. Eh? This is not leadership. Blaming his staff.
Nemanja, honestly, the research department needs improving enormously. Winners, here we go. Here we go.
Oh, okay.
Here we go. Oh, Vidic. You won it in 08-09 and 2010-11. What's the Premier League Player of the Year?
You don't need to worry about it, Gary.
Yeah, I never won that one.
That's why you don't like it.
Nemanja, you know who you're in my Manchester United all-time 11. You know that, don't you?
No.
See, you don't even know that.
Yeah, well done, guys. You see?
Yeah, you and Rio.
Now you have evidence, you know? You know? Why you put me in the best 11? Say that to Carragher.
You know, the more time goes by, the more I think that David Moyes he just wasn't good enough. It's as simple as that. I mean, I remember at the time, and, you know, even up until quite recently, you know, I think about things like he should have done this, he should have done that, he should have done the other, etc., 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 etc. But he didn't do what he needed to do to survive in that team. And, you know, people are talking now about things like, you know, what about David Moyes? Especially after he won the UEFA Conference League. You know, David Moyes, you know, maybe in hindsight, they probably should have given him more time, blah, 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 blah. But again, context is taken out of these opinions most of the time. And what you've got to remember is David Moyes took over the Premier League winning champions of the season before. And not only were they the Premier League champions, they walked the Premier League the year before. They were over 10 points clear of their nearest rivals. They had Wayne Rooney, who was still a world-class player. They had Van Persie, who was world-class. They had, Vidic and Ferdinand, although they weren't the players that they were maybe 3 or 4 years prior, they were still better than anything we've had ever since. We had Raphael. Remember how good he was? People forget about him. I'd have Raphael over Dalot in the team now. He was class. We still had Patrice Evra as well, who would, from there, go on to win league titles with Juventus. You know, did he play a Champions League final with Juventus? I'm not sure about that one. But he still went to Juventus and did really well. We had... Who else did we have? We had David De Gea, who had not yet reached his prime, but was on the cusp of it. We had Chicharito. We had insane squad depth, right? We had goals in that team. It was solid. The only thing that team missed, I feel, was a rock-solid midfield. But even then, that midfield, compared to seasons prior, I think it was Carrick and Cleverley or something. Was it Carrick and Cleverley? No, I think Scholes had gone by then. I think that was the big issue of the day, actually. And which is why they brought in Fellaini. They needed a central midfielder, and I think he wanted to bring in Cesc Fabregas. But still, we had Carrick, who was still a good player. And we had Anderson, who was still half decent. You know, so all that team really needed at the time was to go out and buy a world-class holding midfielder. But we got Marouane Fellaini. And, God bless him. He put the effort in. He doesn't get booed when he comes to United. And it just shows you the class that Man United fans are. Although Fellaini wasn't the required standard that we needed at the time, he still put a shift in, and the United fans appreciated that. But the point I'm making is, David Moyes took over the best team in the league, and then within 12 months, they finished 7th. And it's like, it's just not good enough, you know? So, yeah, and I always, now, I have made my mind up as to what the main issue has been over the past 12 years between Fergie's last Premier League title and now. And it is to do... Yeah, it is the Glazers' fault. It is. But I don't think it's necessarily because the Glazers are purposefully setting out to make Man United crap. I don't think that's the reason. I just think it's willful blindness, really. They just don't quite understand football and they don't really have a passion for it, and that they probably do see Man United as a cash cow. And the biggest mistake that they made was, it was twofold. One, they didn't fully understand what Alex Ferguson's actual role was at Manchester United. He wasn't a head coach. He was effectively a director of football in all but name, who had a hands-on approach to the first team. That was it. The head coaches really that ran the team were René Meulenstein and Mick Phelan. So once Ferguson left, then the football project left. So there was a hole. There was a hole in the centre of Manchester United. They didn't know which way to go. They had no one captaining the ship, so to speak. Now, they talk about both Ferguson and David Gill leaving, and that had one of them stayed, it would have made a big difference. And I think that's probably right, because I reckon David Gill probably understood what Alex Ferguson did, so he probably would have tried to replace Alex Ferguson properly with a director of football, right? But then again, I think Alex Ferguson does take some blame for this, I feel, because he didn't exactly leave us with a young team. Not really, because the young players in the team, you know, they weren't necessarily going to go on and become like the next Ronaldo or the next Rooney or the next Ferdinand or Vidic or anything like that. There were some good players there, but still they should have done a lot better than what they have done. But Alex Ferguson tried to replace himself with David Moyes, but I think Alex Ferguson misunderstood or overestimated David Moyes' ability, and he probably looked at David Moyes and maybe felt as though he saw a younger version of him because he's Scottish, and he kind of ran Everton a little bit like him. But there was nothing that David Moyes done at Everton to suggest that he would be a success at Manchester United, unfortunately. So, I mean, looking back, hindsight's a brilliant thing. You can fix anything with hindsight, can't you? So, but with hindsight, let's play that game. What should have happened was, instead of spending so much money on players like Di Maria and whatnot, they should have invested that money in the infrastructure of the club. Yeah, the management of the club in respect of getting a director of football in, getting all of that kind of stuff, and updating the club in terms of how it's ran, and to the same level as teams like Real Madrid, AC Milan, Juventus, Man City at the time as well. So they needed a director of football, they needed a proper head coach, they needed all the head of recruitments and all of that kind of thing. And then if they'd done that, then they might have made some better choices in the transfer market. And as soon as you start making the right choices in the transfer market, the team doesn't suffer and the team continues to win matches. And then it continues to challenge for titles and whatnot, so on and so forth. Hopefully, Ineos has recognised that problem, and hopefully they have fixed that problem. And I think there's definitely been improvements on that front, because I like the signings that Ineos have done so far. So, we shall soon see. But anyway, what do you guys think? Is there anything else that the Glazers could have done? Is there anything else Fergie or David Gill could have done to smooth the transition from the pre to the post-Fergie era? And how do you think we'll do this season? Thoughts in the comments, and the Big D will, as ever, see you in the next one.